good morning. God damn, it reminds, for some reason it reminded me of going to school. And you know what? School, work. Walking to the school or the workplace, the second you walk through the entrance, you just feel this heavy aura in combination with your coworker being like, good morning. And as someone that is not a morning person, I'm triggered. I was perusing all of Young, and I saw that Zerobaseone is the models for colorgram. And I mean, one, I do have a little bit of I don't really listen to Zerobaseone's music, to be honest. I love their debut song. But after that, I kind of was just like, But I will always have some kind of like a little bit of jong with them. I did watch Boys Planet and I watched from the beginning to the end, and I rarely do that these days. My favorite member is Konuk, who at first I did not care about. I was like, boy, what is you? But then, I don't know, something about him. Besides them being the models for colorgram, I love the collection that came out recently. All sort of nudie looking colors, so you know what that means. She had to get them. And there's a lot of lip products for some fucking reason, so I bought every single one. Let's go through them and let's just play around. So you have 4 different types of products that came out with this Nude, Geek Nude. I love how anything associated with like brownish tones, in Korean it's always like geek, nerd, I don't know why. This is the Pinpoint eyeshadow palette in number 7, Nude Geek. Generally warm tone nudes. I guess what they're trying to do is like this side's supposed to be like the cool tone pink side. This is supposed to be the more yellowish warm tones, and this is supposed to be the more neutral in the middle. I would suggest it to warm autumns or soft autumns. Then we have 3 fruity glassy tints, which I feel like you guys, if you're familiar with K-beauty, you probably would have seen this particular packaging. The normal packaging is usually, it's very like bright colors and they're like mismatching tops and bottoms. But for this collection, it kind of looks phallic? That's so fucking immature of me, but. Then we have 8 shades of their Nude Blur tints. I'll be honest, unless it's given to me via PR, I don't try to buy whole ass color lineups anymore, especially now that I know what colors are good on me, but because these are all kind of nudish shades, I couldn't resist. And I figured if you're gonna do a video like, oh, trying the Zerobaseone makeup. Girl, you know us bitches on social media love to do that shit. They're really just the brand models, but we love to be like, the Jenny tint, the Changwon-young tint. Girl, besides Zerobaseone being attached to all this shit, I do like the color range that I saw. And last but not least, we have 4 shades of the Tintori Blur Jam. And this is already available. It's not a new product for them, but it's kind of like that pudding pot type of shit that's really popular lately. But for this collection, they have this special edition, which I don't know if it's exclusive to all of them, because all of them loves to do these promotions. But girl, lately, keyrings have been such a thing in Korea. You might have seen like reels or, you know, TikToks of like, people know you're walking in the room because, and then it's like this loud clanking noise from all your keyrings. Girl, I saw this couple the other day in my neighborhood, because there's a lot of couples here, and the boy had a bunch of keyrings on his backpack, which is not very common, I feel like. So I thought it was adorable. But in my head, I'm like, where the hell is the keyrings gonna go 3 months down the line? Where are they gonna go 3 months down the line? Okay, the thing is, I'm actually going out to study with a friend at a cafe later, AKA, I think we're both gonna be working on our laptops or whatever, so I'm probably gonna be editing this video then, but I can't try every single one in the video, so I'm just gonna swatch on my skin for you. Maybe I'll do an insert later. I'll start with the Nude Blur tint. Ooh, this is what the packaging looks like. Super cute. In general, colorgram is very sort of travel, mini makeup pouch friendly because all the products are really tiny. Like even the eyeshadow palette is so tiny. This is what the applicator looks like. You can tell immediately it's very smooth. It's one of those like velvety tints. So this is, again, salmon beige. You guys are seeing this first because I can't see my hand. So just based off looking at here, very obvious spring warm shade, but it would be a really nice shade to use on if your lips are more on like the purpley side or grayish side and you feel like you look dead. Because there's different types of lips where you look dead. There's a kind where you don't have much color in lips and they're very pale, or you have the type of lips where they're kind of like grayish or like dark almost. If you're in the light medium skin tone range, this would be a good color to kind of as like a base for something later. Or, you know, if you just use it by itself, it would be more like a nude color. And if you're really fair skinned, this will probably just show up as like a regular, like warm tone, like peachy lip. But for me, I would use it as like a base. That will help lift up any of the purple cool tones in the lips. Because yes, I'm cool tone myself, but sometimes on the lips, you want a little bit of warmth sometimes. Like, it's not bad. Even if you're like a cool summer, a little bit of warmth on the lips helps you look more alive, because generally people associate like purple cool tone lips with being dead or, you know, having no oxygen. This is number 2, Calming Pink. That was a horrible swatch, I'm sorry. So basically, this is just the cool tone version of the first color. Very just cute little nude pink. I use these sorts of colors all the time on light summers, just because, even by itself, because sometimes light summers, it depends. If you want a more low-key sort of lip, and you don't want your lips to stand out too much, I would just use this kind of color by itself. But if you want more of a pop, you can use this as a base and then put a stronger lip in the center. Oh girl, based off the packaging, I can tell I really like this one. Lovely fig. Oh, now that you know what the texture looks like, I can just kind of swatch it here. Oof, yeah, this one has way more pigment than the last two. Not more pigment, but just more color, I guess. Lovely fig. That's a very nice neutral pink. If a cool tone wears it, it's not gonna look too orangey, and if you a warm tone wears this, it's not gonna look too like dead pink. So it's a nice pretty rose shade. Oh shit, this one is bright. This is number 4, Coral Lit. Definitely for a bright spring. So if you are a warm tone, but you look better in not muted warm colors, but more bright warm colors, like my sister Victoria, or someone like Miss Darcy. She's a bright spring, I know that. This would look perfect. Or even if you are a bright winter and you want a little bit of like a warm tone moment, this is the kind of color I would wear. This is number 5, Vintage Red. Ooh, oh my God, that's so pretty. Honestly, this is the type of color I feel like a lot of K-pop idols would wear, like, but this is definitely a cool tone red. So if you are a winter, this would be a great red color. If you're not really going for nude, but you want like a pop of color, but not too crazy, then this would be the perfect shade. In general, if you're more of like a cool tone girl, then I think you'll like this. On someone like me though, if I put something like this on first and then use this a tiny bit in the middle, I can, you know, maybe wear it, but it's just very bright. It's not the brightest you can get though, because this whole collection is like supposed to be nude, so all the colors are to some degree soft. This is number 6, Lucky Berry. That's cute. Cool tone pink, very good for just a regular summer. Good everyday pink shade. Ooh, now we're getting to the nude colors. This is number 7, Geek Rose. Oh, this is it. Very nice dry, we can call this like a dry rose shade. Pink, but it has like a bit of gray, a little bit of beige in it. For me, if I want that nude look, but not that concealer lip look, because if I want the concealer lip look, that would be this one, right? And this is number 8, Hip Chocolate. Yeah, this is definitely perfect. Either an autumn or kind of a soft autumn, because usually soft autumn colors would lean a little bit more grayish, but you know, sometimes if you're soft autumn, but you don't want to look like dead, you look good in warm colors, but more muted warm colors, then this would be perfect for you. Also, I think it's interesting how in Korea they use the same word hip meaning cool, obviously, but also it's the same word they use for ass. I'm like, girl, that's not where your hip is. But in Korea, they refer to your butt as your hip. So I think that's kind of silly. There's a today's fun fact for you. So there is all the shades. Sorry, they're like completely uneven. Oh, between shots, I was gonna wipe this off, but just in case you're curious, this is what the staining looks like. Okay, let's try it. I'm gonna try number 7, Geek Rose. You see that? That's like the amount of blurring you can get. And by the way, the price of all these it was about $6, so not bad. Definitely not a new type of formula for me. I mean, I have so many lip tints like this. That is like the perfect everyday lip shade for me. I'm like a light medium skin tone with more neutral to yellowish undertones to my skin. And this type of color is perfect because it helps kind of neutralize the yellowness of my skin tone. So there's a Nude Blur tint in 7, Geek Rose. Oh my God, we're bringing it back to 2016, y'all. 2016, doing lip swatches. Let's do the Tintori Blur Jam, the Fruity Glass tint. I guess it's like a shade extension, so the numbers start off from 13. This is 13, Shy Pear. Oh, and this is the packaging, by the way, if you didn't already see it. To be honest, I was not a big fan of like the popular, you know, the original ones, because it would be like bright blue and then like purple at the top. I don't know, to me, it just kind of cheap, to be honest. And these are very affordable, but I didn't want it to look like Claire's makeup, which it kind of was. It's the applicator, you know, typical stuff. Ooh, basically like a glossy version of like that first shade in the tints that we were just looking at. It's like a nude beigey brown with a drop of like a peach. But I would definitely suggest this for an autumn, more so than a spring. On a spring, this might look too brown. Then we have number 14, Sulky Lychee. Lychee? I don't know. Oh, this is kind of giving me Romand Bear Grape vibes. If you know, you know. Oof. Like that, but a little bit more pink. The Romand tints, especially these days, are coming out very gray. If you want a bit more color than that, this is definitely the one. You can kind of see even the first one, it deepens a little bit. This number 15, the third and last one, Satisfied Fig. Whatever that means. We're running out of ideas for these color names, so I've been learning some new Korean words from this shit because some of them are crazy long. Ooh, yes. It's extremely similar to the last one. The main difference I would say is that it's a little bit deeper. So if you're more of like a winter, this might look cute on you, but it doesn't look completely cool toned. It almost has a drop of warmth to it, so it's more neutral, I would say. Here's the 3 new Fruity Glass tint shades. Before I wipe them off. These definitely stain more. You can see that. Shut up! Okay, let's try number 2. Sulky Lychee.
This is definitely fruity.
Oh, that's cute. I mean, girl, how many new types of formulas are we getting these days? Not that many, they're all kind of the same, right? Especially just recently having tried the glossy lipsticks from Flower Nose. This is kind of just okay. The main reason I feel that way is because for my particular lips, because they're so dry, these thinner glossy lip tints, I know after like a few hours, they're gonna absorb completely my lips and disappear, or my lips look dry again and wrinkly. This is more of like a personal preference, because you know, in that video I said, when it comes to glossy lips, I prefer thicker formulas because it lasts longer, it's more moisturizing for my lips, but this is the type where it's a little bit thinner, very similar to Romand Juicy Lasting Tint, but it's definitely deeper than I was expecting. I only put a little bit of concealer around my lips. If I completely blanked my lips out and then use that tint on top, I guess I could get more of like a nude look, but I didn't, so.
The very next evening.
Guys, I'm a fucking idiot. After that last clip, I literally forgot to press record. I had fully swatched these things and I did my entire eyeshadow look with this thing, whatever. So we swatched these tints, and now I'm gonna show you the Tintori Blur Jam, which is basically, I don't wanna say a copy, but a very similar concept to the free pudding pots. I don't know what these are supposed to be, but this special edition comes in like these cute little, not key rings, because this isn't like a little key ring chain, it's just like a little holder thing, I guess, for it. It's really easy to pop out, but it is a little bit difficult to pop back in. So in terms of convenience, don't know about her. But this is what the product looks like. It literally looks just like the pudding pots. There's also a cap in here. You need to make sure you put that on whenever you close it. The main difference between this and the free pudding pots is that with these, they're a lot more solid. They're not as squishy. So actually, I kind of like that about these ones over the pudding pots, because the pudding pots are so malleable and squishy that it can be a little bit hard to control sometimes. So with this, I feel like it's a little bit more user-friendly, but you get much less product in here. Oh, I forgot to mention, I didn't put number 1 into the cart, so I'm swatching 4 out of the 5 of these, so apologies. This is number 2, Warm Almond. Again, I'm sorry I'm comparing the two a lot, but it really does feel very similar to the pudding pot. However, because the texture is more solid, it feels more creamy almost, but it still has that very typical like silicone-y, almost primer feel. So if you're like me and you have really wrinkly lips, but you do like more matte texture stuff, I think you'll like this because it's very smoothing. Number 2, Warm Almond is a very
light autumn
shade. It's not a common personal color season that you'll hear about. Basically, if you like warm shades, but you find that the typical like deep brick or kind of like brownie shades are too dark for you, but then things like corals and peaches and orangey colors are too bright for you, this would be a nice color. So if you want something warm, but nothing too bright, but nothing too dark and like muddy looking. It's almost like if you took a spring shade and you added a drop of like like brown or gray to it, which is basically the whole concept of this collection. Then we have number 3, Hazelnut Pink. I feel like it's just a nice, regular, cool tone summer pink. Again, because it's in this specific collection, it almost has a drop of gray in it. So it's not like a typical bright sort of pink, like, I don't know, something like this. It's not like bright like this, right? Because it has that bit of softness to it. So this is great for if you like pink, but you find a lot of pinks will be kind of like too bright on you. Then we have number 4, Juju Brick. From what I remember, I think this was just a very typical sort of autumn shade. Yep, it's giving 2016 K-beauty vibes. So very typical, like warm, deeper orangey shade, so perfect for an autumn. It has a sort of calming, cozy autumn vibe to it. So there's number 4. And then last but not least, number 5, Hip Berry, which is based off of what it looks like is my favorite. Probably wouldn't wear it that often just because it's too deep for me. But this one is a very, like, basically what I describe it as is like a very Christmassy red because it has a strong blue undertone. Oh my God. That is so freaking pretty. Would I wear it? Probably not. But is it gorgeous? Yes, it fucking is. Perfect for if you're a cool winter, like the perfect shade. Is it natural? Not by any stretch of the imagination, but if you like reds, but more on the cool tone side, this is perfect. It's not gonna pull orange on you or anything. And it will make your teeth look whiter. It's actually perfect for the season, you know, fall going into winter. So there's the 4 shades that I currently have. So before I realized I wasn't fucking recording the video yesterday, I had used number 2 for both my lips and cheeks. So I'm gonna do the same thing today. My favorite way to apply these for the cheeks is actually with a flat foundation brush. This is from Jeongseul, but at Sephora, they have something like this. Anything that has a wide face that's flat, I'm gonna use this one just because it's smaller and can fit into the little thing here. I think because of the nature of this color in particular, I love the color, but also it is quite light, so I felt like I had to keep building it up, which is understandable, but also because you get less product than maybe something like the free pudding pot. I'm wondering how long it will last. Oh, I like using a brush like this because it just kind of, it lays it on and blends it at the same time. You'd definitely use your finger, right? But girl, even on like the fucking detail page, like the product page, it showed up like a GIF of the model putting it on with a finger. It looked pretty bad. So I feel like using a brush like this, which I got inspired to do because I saw a bunch of people on Xiaohongshu using a brush that's kind of like this to put their cream blushes and their pudding pots on. I actually even like it more than using one of those like finger puffs that are also good. Those are good too, but if I had to rank it, I would say this is number 1, the finger puffs would be 2, and then my fingers would be 3. Since this is a warmer color, I'm probably keeping it more on the outside part of my cheek. Normally I like to put my blush here, like really in the center of my face, but with this type of color, it's more like the warm, cozy vibes, I guess. So I like to put it more out here. In the first part of this video, I had used a certain concealer on my face that, to be honest, I don't really like, so I don't know why I used it, but that type of concealer comes kind of floating on my skin, and so when I was blending this on, it actually kind of looked patchy and not that great. So I'm using a much different concealer that really sticks well to the face, so it's going on so much easier. It's really important that you use products that stick well to your skin, or you're using really thin layers of your foundation and your concealer. If you're gonna be using a blush like this in this type, like a cream blush, you know, some kind of mousse type texture, especially with a brush, because if your base makeup is just sitting on your skin and then you start trying to tap on the blush, no matter how gentle you are, it can start scratching the base. So I think that's why today it's going on way more smoother. I did pale down my lips a lot using a cushion. So this color, which is already kind of pale for my lips, it's really just almost like tinting it. So in this case, I would use it as like a base color, which, oh my God, by the way, so much of the fur gets into the fucking pot. If you happen to pick this shit up, keep that in mind. Kind of like that. It's very cute, like nude look. But I'm feeling a little bit frisky today, so I'm gonna add Juju Brick so that we get a little bit more color and I don't look too dead. Just a little bit more color. It's nothing too crazy. If I had just put on this type of color on my bare lips with nothing on it, the deep red of my lips would mix with this and look much darker. But because I cover my lips in a cushion foundation and then I put a light base on top, this color in itself is gonna be, like, you see how it's not as deep as compared to like in the pot. And of course, because of the mousse texture, it goes on really fucking smooth. Although, I do remember specifically in the last clip, because I was swatching so many things on my lips, there wasn't that many things, but because I kept rubbing my lips with a wet wipe, girl, she was getting crusty. It was getting really fucking crusty and it actually looked kind of bad. It looked very wrinkly and very, like, it emphasized like all of the dry skin on my lips. So while yes, it can be smoothing for the wrinkles, if you have like actual dead skin on the lips, it will really show. Also, this thing I have, it's one of those like volume clip things. You're supposed to like wiggle it into your hair, blow dry, and then let it go. It's supposed to give you volume, but I'm just using it to keep my hair up right now. Let's finally get into the eyeshadow palette. I'll just do what I did yesterday, which, disclaimer, because I do have all these lights going on around me, the colors might show up a little bit lighter on camera. I remember putting these on being like, girl, nothing's showing up. But outside in person, it looked slightly deeper. Just wanted to point that out. Oh shit, hold on, let me put a little bit of eye primer first. I'm just trying to get rid of this shit, this Urban Decay primer potion. It's like not the worst, to be honest. It does help your eyeshadow kind of pop a little bit more, but I think my issue with it is that it doesn't do such a great job at protecting my eyelids from oil because my eyelids are so oily. This kind of just doesn't really do anything. My favorite is definitely the Smashbox. That shit is powerful. So, looking at this eyeshadow palette, girl, this whole bottom, or I should say, this whole top half here, I think it'd be too light for me. Like if I just use this as like a base, then like there'd be no point in me even doing eyeshadow. So what I'm gonna have to do is start with like this shade here, if I want something to show up. And even then, it's still gonna be extremely natural. Oh, it's really pretty though, I will say. Yes, I don't know, y'all. Objectively, it is a very weak sauce type of level of pigment, but it's still real pretty. This palette in general is gonna be really good for the sort of light to fair-skinned autumns out there. On warm springs, this might look a little bit muddy-ish, like kind of too gray for you. And then of course, if you are cool-toned, this is gonna look a little bit more on the orange side. And for me, I am cool-toned, so this is gonna pull a little, I mean, I'm a soft summer, so I can kind of wear soft autumn colors, which this palette kind of is. But because the rest of my makeup, I'm making it all matchy-matchy, it shouldn't matter too much. But if I use a cool-tone blush and a cool-tone lip, this would be too yellow. And then I think I'm gonna mix these two here, just to add more Umyong shading. Of the three in this heart row, I'm gonna use the lighter pink tone one to use on my aegyo to brighten up a little bit before I add shading, so it doesn't end up looking too dark. Now these are all matte shades, so definitely it's perfect for fall, to be honest. This is the type of palette you would use first just for some shading, and then you would have to add glitter and shimmer separately. But if you don't really wear shimmer and all that, and you just like matte eyeshadows, this is perfect. Now I'm gonna take the deepest shade here, which, if I'm honest, it's not that deep. Actually, you know what? No, I lied. I'm gonna take this shade here and use that along the lash line here. Like I have said many times before, if you do have a longer face, like your face is on the longer side, it's really important you do aegyo makeup. If you do eyeshadow, it's really good to do aegyo makeup because it will add like attention below your eye and it will kind of shorten this distance a little bit. And then I want to take this sort of a lemony ivory shade as my inner corner highlight thing. I was watching somewhere that in general, doing some kind of highlight in the center of the eyes, it's been, you know, a technique that's been around for many years because, you know, people would be like, oh, let me put a shimmer to open up the eyes. I heard apparently it's like associated with the little sparkle or pale skin that little kids will have here. Humans will associate that with youth or something. So I don't know how much of that is true, but I do like the way it looks. It's a nice palette. It's very, you know, basic. I do prefer the other palettes I tried from Colorgram more, just because of the color story. I don't often reach for colors like this in general because I'm cool toned. But if you are light to fair skinned and you're looking for a quick, easy, just basic eye shading palette, but you find a lot of warm tone palettes to be too orange for you, this would be a great intermediate because they're warm shades, but they're not so orange. For a lot of people that are really light skinned or fair toned, usually a lot of people associate light or fair skin with being cool tone, but that's not always the case. If you're light or fair skinned and you've tried cool tone colors and you feel like, I look like kind of like either grandma-y, like auntie-ish, or like it looks too old-fashioned on you and you just want something warm, but you find everything else too intense, then this would be a great option. And just like most of their items, it's really tiny, so it all fits into a little makeup pouch, if that's your thing. Although I fucked up with recording, I do like this a lot more. I don't know why. It's not that different, but I think it's because of the skin. My skin looks a lot better today. And actually, if you just add some eyeliner and lashes on this look, oh girl, the perfect sort of fall look. I mean, you don't have to do lashes. You can just use your regular mascara and all that. Today, because the models of the colorgram right now are zero base, so I'm kind of going for more boyish, like boy idol going to like a radio schedule type of look, I guess. So to recap, and I'm gonna be honest with you, for each product that has come out in this line, you're gonna find something similar in other K-beauty brands. The blur tint, girl, Perry Pera has been doing these blur tints for so long, as has every other brand. This fruity glass tint, Roman, juicy lasting tint. The Tintori Blur Jam, free pudding pots. The eyeshadow palette, every other fucking eyeshadow palette in all of them. So what would be the reason you would want to buy any of this stuff in here? One, you like zero base one. Two, you're looking for something more appropriate for the fall, or you just feel like everything else is too like either too bright or just too dark and deep, and you want something just more muted and soft in general. You have a good range of both cool and warm colors in these products here. Three, maybe that you just want something mini. Because amongst the other brands you'll find in Olive Young, colorgram is more on the affordable side, so I think that is definitely like you know, 장점 benefit. For me, the number one would be just the colors. That was one of the main reasons why I wanted to pick up all these, because they're all shades that I could probably wear. And for me personally, I do like a good more natural. And for me, natural is different for every person, but for me, natural would just be kind of like soft, muted colors, which a lot of this is. So yeah, I hope you had a good time with today's video, bringing it back to, like I said, 2016 with the lip swatches and all that. I'll see you around. Goodbye. Haha.